if you can really start to master tonality on calls, your conversion on calls will increase.
Do you believe cold calling still works?
Absolutely.
Do you think it's a numbers game or it's a relevance game?
It's a relevance game. Now, in the event that you've gone a bit wrong, just drop your tone, because what you're doing there is
You've done a cold call, you're ready, they don't answer, you go to voicemail. What do you do?
In this episode, you're going to learn how to convert more of your cold calls into booked meetings.
Now, Louis, this is a great topic, right? Because
Good topic.
people are scared. I don't want to say
Yep.
people, but like the vast majority don't like picking up the phone.
Yep.
Hence why they love all this crazy email automation that they think is going to drive 15 to 30 new meetings a month. But what is the single most common mistake you have found that people make in the first 10 seconds of a cold call?
It's interesting. I took one today. Now, I actually went through with it because I needed what she was
So
calling
someone was
about.
reaching out to you.
Yeah, because I love it. I mean, you know me, I answer every call. Every cold call, I answer because I love it. I don't like it when I know that it gets that doop, and then it's one of those dodgy call centers, right? I'll tune out.
Let's escape those ones.
But I love a good cold call. Now, the one mistake that I see heaps is individuals will not get to the purpose, the reason for the call in the first 5 to 10 seconds, because the person answering the call, and this is where I'm going to challenge the inbound and outbound. This is also for inbound. I'm going to tell you, this is a structure that you should be using. If you're not using this for inbound, you're missing out. Most people that inquire for inbound, I'm going to get to outbound in a moment, Dave, but most people that inquire for inbound don't just sit at your website. They go, all right, I'm going to go to Growth Forum, click, put my details in. They don't then stop their whole day and say, I'm going to wait for David Can't Sell Fastuca to give me a call, right?
Oh, they snuck an insult in there. That's beautiful.
That was good. It was smooth.
It was sweet.
They're not going to sit there and just stop everything they're doing until you call. They go back to doing something else. And then when you do call, the number, might not be saved in their phone. So the first thing they're asking themselves is, who's calling me and what do they want? So we only have a short period of time to get straight into it. Mm-hmm. Hey, David, Louis from Growth Forum, reason for my call. I noticed that you put your inquiry in about X. My role is to help you, give you some information about ABC. I was hoping you had a couple of minutes to chat. Is now a good time? That's it, right? You have to tell them the reason. Outbound's the same. They're going to answer the call, asking the same question. Who are you? Where are you calling for? And what do you want? I haven't got much time. So how much time do you want from me as well? That's the key. The first structure. People don't like the term script, but part of your framework should always be the intro. Reason for my call? If you are B2B, find a trigger, something relevant. This is the reason for my call. Need to talk to you for a couple of minutes. Bang. That's it.
Okay.
That's
Nice.
the intro, right?
Now, do you believe cold calling still works?
Absolutely.
Do you think it's a numbers game or it's a relevance game?
It's a relevance game. The days of bang out, look, if you look at the data, and the data's actually been really consistent for a number of years, it's like 1% conversion from cold calls, right?
Yep.
That's the methodology of just jamming out call after call, no relevance, okay? But we see this time and time again, and this is in our community members that are running our outreach program, the Sales OS program, are getting 15 to 25% conversion across their outreach, right? We see this time and time again. And the reason for it is because we are doing a bit of pragmatic research. We're not just reaching out. We know our ICP, the ideal customer profile. We know the buyer persona. We've had a look at some attribute, or we've found something about the business that makes it relevant for us to reach out, and we're leveraging that relevant. So that relevance and personalization is key. I know people talk about relevance at scale and personalization at scale and blah, blah, blah. But you know what, folks? Again, this is not a volume game. Less is more.
Now, you do this quite well. So this is a bit of a segue into, you've done a cold call, you're ready, they don't answer, you go to voicemail. What do you do?
My voicemail, the intention of the voicemail is never to get them to call me back. I just say, hey, Dave, sorry I missed you. Louis from Growth Forum. I'll send you an email with the subject line ABC.
That's
it.
Why do you tell them the subject line?
Because, and again, we've tested this, because what it'll do, it'll trigger a bit of curiosity. and they'll go into their subject line. The average C-level or the average manager is getting 127 emails a day. So what will happen is, even if I send the email, by the time they potentially get to it, it's already down the list. So at least they can go to the subject line, type it in, and it'll pop up.
And what's your opinion on using humor on a cold call? Do it, don't do it. We're both like to think we're quite funny.
I think it's depending on your own personality, what you're comfortable with, right? Humor's great. I don't think that, Jeffrey Gitomer, the king of sales, he's the Little Red Book of Selling author. He's written about, 20, 30 books. He continued to talk about humor, like adding humor. And I think there's a time and place for it. But you've also got to be cognizant of who you're talking to. Yeah. And there's a lot that you can learn a lot from the way somebody picks up the phone. John speaking. Good morning, this is John. Hello, this is John. How may I help you? Like, you can actually tell a lot about a person's social style based on the way they pick up their phone.
So just decide on their tone and make it snap.
And you got to pick the time and the place too, right?
Yeah.
So, and just be mindful that, and look, there are some cold call scripts, and I've tried them. I use something different. I use a reason for my call because I just love getting straight into it. Some will use, hey, this is a cold call.
Yeah, I've seen that climb up quite a bit.
Yeah, and we've got that framework in Growth Forum, right? Do you mind if I have 30 seconds to tell you what this call's about? Because it's a bit of a pattern interrupt as well, yeah?
Yeah.
They're all tactics but for me, the best one to use is, let me show you something relevant. Let me show, hey, I've just done X. I've just been on your website. I noticed ABC's happening. I think there's a way for you to, leveraging that, for me, shows them that I'm earning the right to have this call with you. Yeah.
A good one would be like how do you recover when a cold call goes south? Like first 10 seconds, you might have bombed the intro.
Yeah.
What do you do to recover?
Go back to the reason. Hey, completely understand. I've called you, out of the blue. One of the reasons I was calling is X. You got to drop your tone, right? Leave your ego at the door. And I've actually got really good recordings of.
What do you drop your tone? Is there a reason behind that?
When you remember, tonality is really important. It doesn't get spoken about enough in selling. Tonality, remember, communication. Professor Albert Mirabin did a study on communication. 55% of communication's body language, right? The way our facial expressions on the phone, obviously there's not a lot of body language happening, but 38% is intonation. Intonation is speed, pitch, tone. So again, if you're speaking to somebody that's lower in tone, you should lower your tone. If they're direct, you should be more direct, right? You should be mirroring the other person, yeah? Now, in the event that you've gone a bit wrong, just drop your tone, because what you're doing there is you're deflating a bit of the tension that's occurring on the phone, okay? And this is a learnt skill, by the way. Tonality, if you can really start to master tonality on calls, your conversion on calls will increase, okay? And this should be something that anyone from a communication perspective should look to master. Right?
Well, that's like how the Italians, we use our hands too much.
That's right.
Your hands haven't stopped waving.
But it's just like when
this.
somebody issues an objection or they've got a question where they're struggling with, or you don't go, oh, that's fantastic. You've got to drop it. Completely understand. Like, you drop your tone, right? If they've got a problem, you got to show empathy, right? I'm sorry to hear that that's happening in the business and that's impacting your business like that, right?
It's a quick way to build rapport.
Absolutely.
Like, they feel like they've been heard.
Correct.
And you're understanding the situation and not getting excited by an opportunity to sell, but more to help.
Yeah.
Look, what has been your approach to to re-engaging a prospect when they say, I'm not interested, I'm not interested? What do you do from then? What do you do to sort of revert that to an opportunity, or do you let it go?
Well, it depends. It depends on my pursuit plan, right? Okay. So let me go back a step. So if we look at the pursuit plan perspective, the topic, when I'm doing my target list, I'm looking for businesses that I feel, or that based on certain attributes of the organization, could be suffering a certain problem. Yes, there's intent data now. Those intent data tools are great because it'll showcase to you organizations that are searching for what you sell, right? Then that's kind of helping you build your ICP, and your list. But when you're building your list, you're kind of coming up with a bit of a scenario in your head to go, right, or even on paper, I'm going to reach out to this org because this org, it matches my ICP based on some stuff that I've done, some research. It looks like, or I feel like they're suffering X problem that we could help solve. My first entry point is going to be to this person. we should always be thinking, what if this person knocks us back? This is where multi-threading kicks in, right? We should also be thinking about our omni-channel approach. Remember, just because somebody says to you, Dave, this is not something I want to talk about today, that doesn't mean the opportunity is closed lost. It means that the message that I put forward to you potentially isn't being received well. Maybe my trigger isn't right. That should help me go, what's my next step? Yeah? And potentially I might say, hey, look, if they're trying to brush you off, remember a stall is not an objection. A stall is saying, I'm too busy right now.
Yeah.
It's not an objection. An objection is, I want to move forward, but I need information. A stall is, I don't know who you are. I don't trust you. I just want to get out of this conversation. I'm just about to jump into a meeting. Or I'm in a meeting. Well, what'd you answer your phone for?
Yeah.
Right?
You're not going to say that.
Yeah, that's right. But that's why address it. Hey, it sounds like, Dave, I've caught you at the wrong time. Completely understand that you're about to jump into a meeting. Do you mind if I'm going to just shoot through a quick email with some stuff because I've done some research and I think this is actually quite relevant for you right now. And then I'm happy to pick up the call next week. When you do that and you drop your tone and you reference that you've done a bit of research and you're going to send them some stuff, logically people are like, okay, I get it, right? And you're keeping the door open, or you say, hey, do you mind if I send you an email with some of the information that I wanted to talk to you about because it's relevant for where you're at in the journey? If they're going to give you that, people aren't nasty,
Yeah,
right?
That's a soft opening
It's
for them to
soft.
say, yep, sure,
Great.
or no, then you know to move
Correct.
on.
Then you connect with them on LinkedIn. You can even follow up, but this is where your next action, you still have a next action in your cadence. Yeah?
I love that. And look, what do you think is the one mindset shift that we all need to make to succeed at cold calling?
Don't take it personal. They're not rejecting me as an individual, right? And remember, it's even if, and I've had some very nasty responses. I was training and Julian, because Julian listens to our podcast quite a lot. Julian, he'll know this call. I was calling the chief sales officer. I won't say the bank's name on our podcast, right? But he didn't have very nice things to say. And I was doing the live cold call in a training session with about 6-7 people in there. And he told me where to go, right? Which is fine, right? It was a bit abrupt for the people.
I do that at least 4 times a day.
Now, again, he could be having an issue at work, might just be having a bad day, might just be an asshole. Like, let's be honest, right? That can't impact my feeling. That's not about me, okay? That's one call. And again, we live in a world of abundance. When we think about, when you look at your account list, that's one of 1,000 accounts that I can target.
Yeah.
Right? So they're not rejecting me. And again, if my call structure, if I stuffed it up, who cares? Okay, I'm going to listen. I'm going to update. I move forward, right? It doesn't determine my worth or my value because of that one call. Think about, I love to bring the athlete mentality to this. Yeah. It doesn't matter what sport, football or soccer or basketball, how many of the best athletes miss the winning shot?
Yeah.
It doesn't stop them from taking the next shot, right? They deal with it and they move forward. That's the mentality we've got to have with the cold call. It shouldn't change our center. Like our mission, our purpose, our value shouldn't shift because a call went wrong, right? It's just one call. Yeah.
And I'm going to bring up a point that someone very smart once told me, and I won't mention their name because they're sitting across from me, but they said, focus on learning and not selling in every call.
That's it.
And if you want to learn how to scale to 10 million and above, leveraging cold calling, visit us on growforum.io/newsletter to get daily lessons on how to become better and grow in your business.